here we are. It's here. I didn't expect it to come out today of all days. Honestly, I really expected it to drop with Spider-Man Brand New Day because I feel like that would have been the most logical thing. You're building up hype for Spider-Man, build up hype for your next MCU movie with that MCU movie, or just drop it online now so we can talk about it. And the internet people scramble to talk about it instead. So it's a fun race regardless, right? So the Avengers Doomsday trailer is here and it is interesting. I have thoughts. It's not exactly what I want. It's definitely not. It's weird though, because I don't want to come across like a cynical asshole. What are we doing here? I want to know exactly what the build-up here will be, and I was hearing that this could be a possible Doom POV-centric movie. We've heard that we're getting Robert Downey Jr. back. We know we're getting Robert Downey Jr. back, and that's been the biggest concern, I think, with how we nail Doom, how we create a new threat in the MCU that can elevate the stakes, but feel new, feel refreshing. That's a big risk when you get RDJ, freaking Iron Man back. How are you gonna pull that off in a movie that's 3 hours and you have to build Doom up at all? And that's still the concern I have when watching this trailer. I was hoping this trailer would sell me on the presence of Doom. And I will say that performance-wise, RDJ is doing a good job. Like, he does nail the voice. He sounds different. He sounds like he's actually putting on a performance of a different character. I was worried it was gonna come across as Stark-esque or something like that to really hammer home the nostalgia bait, because I feel like that's what they're doing with Steve, and this trailer has done nothing to prove that wrong for me. It's another concern. We'll get into the Steve element of this, but in terms of Doom, I do like how Robert Downey Jr. sounds. He sounds different. He doesn't just sound like Tony Stark, and I appreciate that. He's putting on an accent. I just want to know if there's going to be story reasons still why he looks like RDJ, or if they're even not going to show that, which honestly I would prefer. It would be such a ballsy move to have Robert Downey Jr. just come in, new voice, new performance, entirely new character, and just sell that. Talk about a flex. If not, though, it does just come across as desperate. It's a big risk this movie's running, so on one end it is risky. I respect that, but it's such an odd combination of risk and also safety. It's such a safe choice as well, especially when you look at the Steve Rogers element of this. Because the Steve Rogers element to me just feels, that's what feels the most forced, that's what feels the most off. Why is he here? Like, I get it's probably to prove a point from Endgame, but what I liked about Endgame and what I liked about the ending of that movie is, regardless of people debating whether it was a right thing or not for Steve to go back in time and live his life and let all these atrocities in the world happen. We don't even know if that's the case of the timeline, though. It's a different branching timeline. What if Steve was actually still good in that timeline but stayed with his wife? That's also a possibility. I'm curious if they're going to explore that in the movie, but what my concern comes from is, like, are we doing this because Twitter gave us a story to write? As in, did Twitter debate the ending of Avengers Endgame long enough for the studio to see it and say, hey, instead of writing our own narrative to formally bring in the new Avengers, let's bring in this element Twitter's argued about for a couple of years. It worked fine for Raylo, right? That's just how it comes across. I feel like I sound cynical with that, but what other reason would it be? I don't think they planned ever to come back to Endgame. I just don't. Not that I need it to be planned necessarily. I don't think the MCU is as planned as people make it out to be either. Phase 1 was a lot of improv with luck to succeed. People just forget that. I hate that now it's like they're still improving, but they don't have that smoothness to make it feel like it has finesse. It doesn't feel planned. So many people assume the Marvel Cinematic Universe is this perfectly constructed, planned out thing up until Endgame because they weren't around to see the ups and downs it had along the way. You have a whole new generation of people that think the Endgame storyline is just completely planned out. That's just not the case. It was a lot of great improv from directors. It was a lot of jamming with different artists' visions coming together. It was a lot of back and forth. Hell, there are still movies that have production troubles leading into Endgame. We just didn't hear about it as much. And maybe that helped the perception of phases 1 through 3 as well. Maybe that helped my perception in general. Maybe with less knowledge of what goes on behind the scenes, we have less of an ability to be cynical assholes. But on one flip end, I do, at the end of the day, stand by the fact that if you expected a new story and to get away from the old guard because we finished the arc with Endgame, I can't blame you for feeling that way. Like, I want new Avengers too. Hell, we got a few movies developing new Avengers. Where is that gonna lead? I don't want them to be overshadowed by the original Avengers crew because Steve Rogers is back, Thor is back, which means we're probably gonna revisit timelines. Hell, I don't even want Ant-Man to take the screen time because he was technically of the OG guard. I'm getting sidetracked. What did I like about the trailer? I really enjoyed the visuals. I think artistically, it looks cool. I hope it's cohesive. I hope there's a story driving this forward. This could have been a cool opportunity, I think, to have Doom be the main character of your story to really build out a villain. And I'm not saying that's not going to be the case. This is all from a trailer. I would just like to know if that's going to be the case. Maybe that curiosity says something. Maybe that curiosity shows that I'm still half interested, or maybe it just shows that I want them to succeed, and if they prove me wrong, that's even better. It's funny, in the moment of watching the trailer, I was excited because I'm like, visually, it looks cool. I like the idea of Doom catching Mjolnir, or not Mjolnir, Stormbreaker, and that's a cool image. It's a very comic-y image. Imagine if we knew Doom leading into that, though. Visually, aesthetically, it does look more colorful than the other Russo projects. I've noticed that when it comes to Avengers movies in particular. Artistically, the movies look great. They're very colorful. The colors pop. The cinematography looks clean. It looks like Infinity War at times, in a good way, but sometimes it does look like things are just kind of being thrown together. I do have concern when you hear actors talking about how they didn't have a script some days when they showed up, and I'm like, granted, Iron Man 1 was like that. Granted, Iron Man 1 was dealing with a much smaller scale story, which means you can kind of get away with some of that stuff. Curious to see what tensions are going on with Wakanda and also Namor, and if there are tensions or if it's just the fact that they're dealing with an incursion. I feel like this movie might be a lot of conflict of what universe can survive. Are we the ones to make that choice, and why? Are the Avengers, our superheroes, the ones meant to make the choice of what universe can live during an incursion event? And what is that dilemma? Is there a Civil War-esque conflict within that amongst the X-Men and the Avengers? That could be a cool element to explore. You have a world where mutants come from persecution, and a world where the MCU characters don't really come from that because a lot of people loved heroes in that universe. So that could be an interesting dynamic to explore in a movie of universes being completely different from each other. Play in those opposite dynamics. Play into that conflict. I would love to see that. I don't need to see Steve Rogers. Now, if Steve Rogers is the Hail Mary that makes this movie work, I will be here saying that in full colors. I will gladly wear the wrong on my sleeve that I was wrong in having my doubts. Do I think that's going to go down that way? We shall see. At the end of the day, there's a lot going on with this movie, and I hope it works out. I have mixed feelings overall about it. This trailer didn't exactly nullify my worries. Guys, what did you think of the Avengers Doomsday trailer? Did you enjoy it? What is the MCU project you're most excited to see this year? Thank you so much for watching Scatterbrain Reviews. Leave a like, leave a comment. Come talk about movies with us. Come talk about stories with us. I will see you next time.